Welcome everyone to Coin New Yen Review channel. Before we dive into today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so more people can discover us. Enjoy the show. Married for 8 years. Liu Ruyan's people always called me big brother-in-law. I found the title awkward. Told them to just call me brother-in-law, but they never changed. Until a car accident left him bleeding heavily. The child we hoped for turned to dust. To save him, I nearly lost my own life. When I stood outside the door of Liu's general office about to push it open, I overheard Liu Ruyan's conversation with a friend. You can't hide this from Long Aotian forever. You know how much he cared about that child. Liu Ruyan lit a cigarette. The swirling smoke blurred his features, concealing his heart's blood. I promised the old lady, when will be my only child in this life? The friend's voice carried confusion. Then why stage that car accident? You could have just sent the child abroad after birth. How would the old lady ever know? The words fell. A long, deathly silence filled the office. The friend's voice suddenly rose sharply. You listened to the old lady, got married to G. Boater, and even had a child with him all these years. Don't tell me you've developed feelings for him. Liu Ruyan snuffed out the cigarette between her fingers. Her voice was flat, emotionless. G. Boater may not be educated, but he's obedient. Doesn't have much of a temper. Being with him is stable. She paused, then continued. Besides, he's sacrificed a lot for me. Letting Wen be the sole heir of the Liu family is one of the few ways I can repay him. What about Long Aotian? He has all my love. That's enough. I stood outside the door. Each word and sentence pierced like icy daggers. My blood seemed to freeze inch by inch. So her heart was fake. Her promises were fake. Even that so-called love was a carefully woven lie. My heart felt like it was being bent and twisted, thrown to the ground, and stomped on repeatedly, crushed into mud. I suddenly recalled a month ago. Liu Ruyan's assistant unintentionally let slip. The company was struggling with uncollectible debts. The capital chain was about to break. She insisted on personally going to collect the debts. I was worried and insisted on accompanying her only to meet with the car accident on the way back. I once thought it was revenge from a rival, never imagining Liu Ruyan had orchestrated it all. The woman who came home every day, always sharing the smallest details with me first, gently guiding my hand to feel the mark of our unborn child. That woman had personally killed our child. The woman who held me promising to love me forever was already someone else's wife and even had a daughter with him. Liu Ruyan deceived me for a full 8 years. I wanted to laugh, but tears fell faster than my smile. I closed my eyes in pain. 8 years of love and devotion collapsed in this moment, turned to ashes. The elevator doors slowly closed, shutting out that false world. I thought to myself, from now on I would never love Liu Ruyan again. That false love, I didn't want it. Back home, I dug out a business card, dialed the number. I agreed to come help you. The other side was clearly surprised. Not afraid your CEO Liu will get upset now. I gave a bitter smile. Liu Ruyan's words lingered like a curse, each word a blade, piercing my heart full of holes. I didn't answer. Just said briefly, "I'll leave once the visa comes through in 2 weeks." Then hung up. A black Maybach slowly pulled into the villa. Soon after, Liu Ruyan pushed open the bedroom door. Asked the driver, said, "You came to see me." I looked up, meeting her gaze, and caught a fleeting trace of panic in her eyes. My lips twitched. The words of confrontation were ultimately swallowed back. "I was going to find you, but a friend had an emergency, so I went there instead." Hearing this, Liu Ruyan visibly relaxed. She threw herself into my arms, pulled a watch from her bag. "A surprise for you. May my prince be safe and prosperous." Staring at the diamond-encrusted watch, I vaguely recalled my 20th birthday. Liu Ruyan braved heavy rain, running from East City to West City, just to buy my favorite cake, waiting under my dorm building all night. My 24th birthday, she spent all her savings to buy an apartment in the narrow hallway of a rental, handed me the keys like a magic trick. My 27th birthday, she booked the most expensive hotel in the city center, set off fireworks for me all night on the rooftop, amid dazzling lights and envious gazes. Asked if I'd marry her, just because I casually mentioned liking surprises. Liu Ruyan went to great lengths to weave countless splendid dreams for me, but I never expected the end of those dreams would be so unbearable. My chest felt crushed by a boulder. Each breath brought tearing pain. In the end, I forced a smile, pretending to be happy. Thank you, Ryan. Liu Ruyan nestled in my arms, rubbing her head against my chest, softly saying, I'm hungry, what should we eat today? I'm not feeling well today. Let Wuya cook. Alright, I'll call you when dinner's ready. Watching her retreating figure, I remembered the early days of our startup. No matter how busy, I'd cook 3 meals for her myself. Each time she'd happily kiss me, saying, husband, you're the best. But none of that could change the fact that she was another's lawful wife and had killed our child herself. The marriage certificate carefully framed on the table now seemed like a grand mockery. My heart ached terribly. I could barely breathe. The next second, I grabbed the frame and threw it into the trash without hesitation. Downstairs, the table was full of my favorite dishes, but the one who promised to eat with me was gone. The servant stepped forward full of envy. Sir, Madam said she had urgent company matters to handle. She specifically instructed before leaving to make sure you eat well. A good woman like Madam is truly rare these days. I smiled, said nothing, put on my shoes, and left. That night, not a single call from Liu Ruyan came. The next day, back at the villa, I finally met Liu Ruyan's true husband, but his identity was somewhat peculiar. Looking at the man wearing my shirt, visibly uneasy, my face darkened. Who let you touch my things? This shirt was the only piece of clothing my mother left me. Jibota's smile froze instantly. He instinctively glanced back at Liu Ruyan. It was me who let him wear his clothes. Take it off and give it back, I interrupted, my voice devoid of warmth. Liu Ruyan's expression shifted slightly as she stepped forward, suppressing her anger. Aotian, it's just a shirt. Is it worth this? Liu Ruyan, this was the last shirt my mother made for me. Don't you know what it means to me? I stood at the door, my eyes already misting over. The two of us faced off, neither yielding. Jibota, seeing this, hurriedly apologized, fumbling to take off the shirt. I'm sorry, Mr. Long. I didn't know. In his haste, a rip sounded. The shirt tore open with a large gash. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It wasn't on purpose. Mr. Long. Jibota, embarrassed, handed over the torn shirt, half naked. At a loss. Liu Ruyan's face darkened. She grabbed a coat from the sofa, wrapped it around Jibota, tossed the damaged shirt to me, coldly throwing out utterly unreasonable, then took Jibota upstairs. The tear in the shirt was like a gaping scar, blatantly stinging my eyes. The anger I'd held back for so long turned into endless desolation. Liu Ruyan. She knew how important this shirt was to me. The servant stepped forward to console her. Don't be angry. Madam meant well. This Mr. G was hired as a driver. It was raining earlier. He got soaked moving the flowers you keep in the backyard. That's why Madam let him change into your clothes. My dad's not a driver. You're the bad guys. Before the servant finished, a girl about 8 years old rushed over, pushed him hard, and threw a soup bowl at my head. What are you doing? Liu Ruyan's voice came from the staircase. Before the servant could explain, the girl Lin Wenwen suddenly collapsed on the floor, wailing loudly. Liu Ruyan hurried forward, full of concern. Wenwen, what's wrong? Lin Wenwen pointed at me, sobbing. He bullied me. The servant was stunned, about to defend me, but Liu Ruyan stood up, glaring. She turned to me, her gaze icy. If you're upset, go vent it outside and come back. Why take it out on a child? Your own child is gone, so you can't stand others having one. Her words landed. She picked up Lin Wenwen and walked out without looking back. Liu Ruyan. I wanted to demand how my child was lost. Didn't she know in her heart? Warm liquid slid down my forehead, staining my vision red. If only Liu Ruyan had looked back once, she'd know who was truly being bullied. But she didn't. Not even once. I struggled to stand, leaning on the sofa, watching her resolute back. My heart tore open, a bloody gash. The pain was suffocating. Once upon a time, Even a small cut on my hand would make her heart ache unbearably. So love and its absence were this distinct. An 8-year dream. It was time to wake up. Back in the room, I called the lawyer Mr. Long. If you and Ms. Liu aren't legally married, from a legal standpoint, besides the 10 company shares you hold, you likely won't get a single cent of other assets. Even though you co-founded the company with Ms. Liu, but I heard Lias is preparing for financing and listing. You might use that as leverage, or Ms. Liu might cede some rights. Hanging up, I stood on the balcony gazing at the distant sea, suddenly laughed. So this was Liu Ruyan's grandest surprise for me. Her sudden desire for a child, asking me to focus on caring for her, was just to push me out of the company's core entirely. Now that she had everything, me and my child naturally had no reason to exist. I stood in the cold wind as if plunged into the deep sea. Suffocation wrapped me layer by layer. No light in sight. The next day at noon, I woke from a haze. Liu Ruyan was anxiously checking my temperature. Seeing me awake, her furrowed brow slightly relaxed. You had a high fever last night. Thankfully, it's finally subsided. My throat ached terribly. Dazed, I said nothing. Liu Ruyan paused, took a gift box from the bedside table. I'm sorry, I was wrong yesterday. The shirt couldn't be fixed. The company's preparing for financing and the listing lately. Mom knows I'm busy. Worried I couldn't take care of you. So she asked brother G to help out. The G family helped mom before. She specifically told me not to neglect him. So I was impulsive yesterday. I promise it won't happen again. Forgive me, okay? As she spoke, she pulled out a tie and handed it to me. This is what mom picked for her son-in-law. Brother G brought it over. Looking at the expensive tie, I only wanted to ask if it was sent to the wrong person. In all my years with Liu Ruyan, I'd only met her mother once, and that time was quite unpleasant. I knew she didn't like me. Even though I fulfilled every courtesy year after year, she never allowed me to go back to her hometown with Liu Ruyan for the new year. I used to naively think persistence would wear her down. Now I realized how wrong I was. The doctor said you can be discharged this. I'll come pick you up. Tonight come with me to a charity gala. I have a meeting now. I'll go handle it. The soup I made for you should arrive soon. I stayed silent, watched her leave, then quietly closed my eyes. Half asleep, a voice sounded. Mr. Long. Wu Ye made you fish soup. Drink it while it's hot. I opened my eyes. Jiboda was sitting before me, holding a soup bowl. This time, he wore an ill-fitting suit, paired with his messy hair, looking especially comical. No need. Thanks, I'm not hungry. I sat up, declining. I really wanted to ask him, watching his wife care for another man so tenderly, what did he feel inside? Before I could speak, Jiboda set the soup on the table, pulled a crumpled marriage certificate from his pocket, pushed it toward me. Word by word, Mr. Long. This is my marriage certificate with Ruyan. 9 years ago, when she came to Haikang for university, we already got married. So what? I looked at him expressionlessly. I hope you leave her. Give Ruyan back to us, her family. Doesn't a man living off a woman feel ashamed? I didn't want to interfere before, but mom said, now is a critical time for Ruyan's career. As her husband, I must be by her side, not letting anyone affect her. In my 8 years with Liu Ruyan, I poured all my heart into her and Lia's company, only to be told I was living off a woman. My eyes filled with a mocking smile. After Jiboda left, my heart remained a tangled mess. Evening brought light rain. Liu Ruyan personally came to pick me up from the hospital. After getting in the car, I saw Jiboda in the passenger seat. He came to bring you chicken soup. I happened to see him and it's raining hard, so I let him hitch a ride. I said nothing, just quietly glanced at Jiboda. He seemed uneasy, greeted me, then silently turned away. At the gala entrance, reporters swarmed. As soon as Liu Ruyan and I appeared, a barrage of camera flashes erupted. Liu Ruyan tightly held my hand, led me through the crowd into the banquet hall. All evening she stayed by my side, even bidding on several valuable items for me at the auction. Everyone outwardly praised my good fortune, but I knew how they mocked me behind my back. True heart and true feelings, in others' eyes, were merely fodder for gossip. As the gala ended, I stepped outside, and a sharp pain twisted my abdomen. Earlier to entertain a few old clients, I drank a bit too much. My long dormant stomach issues flared up. What's wrong, stomach pain again? Liu Ruyan supported me. Reporters at the entrance saw us come out and swarmed again. Liu Ruyan called for bodyguards to shield us, her other hand guiding me outward. But a few steps in, a commotion erupted at the crowd's edge. A reporter roughly pushed a shabbily dressed man to the ground, spouting venom. Where'd this bumpkin come from? You broke my camera. Can you afford to pay for it? Dressed like that you dare come here. I'm sorry. It wasn't on purpose. That voice was Djibota's. The hand supporting me instantly pulled away. I struggled to lift my head, saw Liu Ruyan rush into the crowd and start fighting with the reporter. Curses, apologies, and camera clicks intertwined. The scene descended into chaos. CEO Liu, stop fighting. CEO Li's assistant and bodyguards rushed to break it up. I was pushed and shoved by the surging crowd, colliding into a glass door nearby. The doorframe's edge jabbed my waist. Excruciating pain blackened my vision. Cold sweat soaked my back instantly. No one noticed I'd fallen. Reporters chasing the scoop even stepped over my hand. I struggled to stand, gripping the doorframe, but under the bright lights, I saw Liu Ruyan pulling Djibota's hand, leaving without a backward glance. She didn't even look at me once. Not even a single glance. The car sped off. Reporters dispersed with their prize. But when they saw me, they swarmed again like sharks smelling blood. Someone claims CEO Li's real husband is someone else. Are you the third party? What do you have to say about this? The piercing questions flooded over me. The last thing I heard before fainting out of the hospital again at 5 a.m. I gazed at the empty, desolate street, suddenly wanting to laugh. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A message from the servant, sir. There's something I'm not sure I should say. This Mr. G is really too much. In the attached video, Liu Ruyan and Djibota were with Lin Wenwen in the living room, watching cartoons on the sofa. A family of three full of joy. And at the top of my WeChat, in Liu Ruyan's message bar, still lingering on last night, the 20-some unread messages she sent. Aotian, where are you? I looked for you all night. Aotian, please reply okay. Don't make me worrying, where are you? What happened tonight was a misunderstanding. While saying she was worried about me, she was sharing family joy with Djibota and their daughter. Recalling the past, I only felt it absurd and laughable. The woman who once would rather die with me than let go of my hand could now without hesitation hold another man's hand. Tears fell silently, yet I laughed. Back at the villa, the woman who claimed to worrying about me all night rushed toward me full of anxiety. I thought she'd comfort me like before, but the next second she grabbed my wrist fiercely. Her tone, I see, did you have one when taken away? Before I could react, Djibota lunged forward, his expression frantic. The teacher said Wenwen was picked up by a young man. Mr. Long, please give Wenwen back to me, okay? Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. I don't know what you're talking about. I tried to break free from Liu Ruyan's grip, but her hand tightened like a vice. Wenwen's gone. They're new here. I can't think of anyone else who'd do this but you. Her gaze shifted from doubt to certainty, as if she'd already decided I was the culprit. My wrist, with its old injury, throbbed with piercing pain under her grip. Staring into her cold, dark eyes, I gave a bitter smile. Liu Ruyan, is this how you see me now? The slightest movement made the wound on my back ache terribly. Cold sweat poured out. I thought my heart had gone numb, but seeing her eyes full of disgust still felt like 10,000 arrows piercing through. 8 years of time wasted after all. Ruyan took a deep breath, suppressing her anger. Aotian, now's not the time to argue about this. When is Boda's life? I'll ask you one last time. Where is Wenwen? Smiling so intimately with Boda, without any restraint, my face paled with pain. Word by word I said it wasn't me. Liu Ruyan's patience ran out. She flung my hand away, her voice cold as ice. Someone as venomous as you doesn't deserve to have a child. With that, she pulled Boda and left decisively. The door slammed shut with a bang, shaking my heart. My stomach began to ache faintly. I clutched my abdomen, sliding to the floor, cold sweat beading on my forehead. I struggled to get to the bedroom for medicine, but couldn't muster even half my strength. In the fragmented dawn light, I thought of the child who never came to be. I thought of the little clothes I'd prepared for them, the tiny shoes, the stroller. I thought of the woman called Mother, who used to gently guide my hand, to feel her faint heartbeat. I thought of how much I'd longed for her arrival, but I never could have imagined it was all a trap set by Liu Ruyan. Now my child was gone, and the woman who promised to love me forever was gone too. Silence fell. I shouldn't have believed her from the start. I don't know how much time passed. The phone chimed softly, a notification that my visa was ready. I sat slumped on the floor, staring at our photo on the phone screen, and closed my eyes in pain. I forced myself upstairs to grab my documents. Just as I stepped out of the villa, several black cars surrounded me. Night had fallen. All was silent around. The people in the villa must have been sent by Liu Ruyan to search for the child. I stepped back, pulled out my phone, and dialed Liu Ruyan. She'd just left not long ago. She should still be nearby. When the call went through, Liu Ruyan was searching near the school for Lin when, seeing my name flash on the screen, she hung up without thinking. The second call was hung up too. Boda, eyes red, asked Ruyan, "It's Mr. Long's call. Why aren't you answering?" Liu Ruyan shut off her phone, her face grim. I've been too indulgent with him. Let him reflect on himself. The third call met with a cold mechanical voice. My heart sank completely into the dust. I struggled back into the villa. The next second, the group burst through the door. "Mr. Long, we've finally caught you." I recognized the leader. To collect debts for Lia's company before, I'd used some unsavory methods. The money was recovered, but I'd made plenty of enemies. Looking at the menacing group before me, I understood their intent instantly. "Whatever you want, Monet can give it." The man sneered, curling his lip. "We don't want anything, just for Mr. Long to suffer a bit." With a wave of his hand, his men closed in gripping clubs. I gritted my teeth trying to fight back, but they gave me no chance. A burly man stepped forward, kicking me to the ground. Bonnet deep pain blackened my vision, nearly making me faint. My phone fell from my pocket. The screen flickered with a name. Before I could see it clearly, a man grabbed my collar, dragging me forward. Clubs rained down on me like a storm. Agony exploded from my spine, spreading to my limbs. They cursed freely, trampling my dignity underfoot. I felt clearly, warm liquid sliding from my scalp. Gradually my consciousness blurred. The sound of breaking bones echoed sharply in the quiet woods. The man filming from the side caught me lying in a pool of blood, motionless. Only then did he signal them to stop. Finally, the departing men didn't forget to kick me one last time. I lay like a shattered porcelain doll on the cold ground. The light before my eyes flickered, faintly uneasy. The phone screen still flashed a name. Liu Ruyan. I had a dream. In it, Liu Ruyan, missing for a day and night, suddenly appeared under my dorm building. Her face bore bruises, but her eyes shone with startling brightness. I asked, heart aching, what happened. She just smiled, pulled out a necklace from behind her, and dangled it before me. Later, I learned to win back my mother's heirloom. She'd gone racing. The mountain road muddy and slick after rain. She nearly plummeted off a cliff with the car. I gently applied ointment to her wounds, my heart sour and speechless. Do you know how dangerous that was? Liu Ruyan gripped my hand, her gaze unwavering. "This is your mother's heirloom. I had to win it back for you. Aotian, it'll stay with you forever." Her sincere eyes stirred a tempest in my heart. But gradually, the one who promised to stay forever abandoned me. She watched coldly as reporters swarmed me, watched as the crowd pushed me down, watched as a startled awake met the nurse's gentle gaze. All was quiet around, the air thick with disinfectant. "You're awake anywhere uncomfortable." I shook. my head forcing myself to bear the pain and sit up. You'd better contact your family. You're badly injured. You need to stay in the hospital. I asked the nurse to find a caregiver to take me back to the villa. Liu Ruyan wasn't there. I had the caregiver help me pack my documents, taking nothing else. Not even the necklace shed one back for me, nor the tie Li's mother sent for her son-in-law. At the door, I looked at the villa, vaguely recalling when we first moved in. Back then, Liu Ruyan and I had just signed major deals for the company. Our careers soaring. She said she had a surprise for me, blindfolded me with a scarf from the office, and led me here. I'll never forget. Liu Ruyan holding my hand, touring room by room. I'll never forget. Standing on the spacious balcony of the master bedroom, watching her dance with joy. That day, she said, she'd fill the yard with my favorite red roses. She said she'd build a swing in the backyard, lay soft grass. So when we had a child, we'd play with them on the lawn. She said so much, and all her dreams of the future included me. Back then, I thought I was the happiest person in the world. But now, the excruciating pain reminded me constantly it was time to leave. This place never belonged to me. As I got into the car, the sky began to drizzle. The pattering raindrops gradually covered the windows, blurring my vision and the cage behind me that held 8 years of my life. On the way to the airport, I deleted everything related to Liu Ruyan. When the boarding announcement echoed in the airport hall, I took one last look out the window. One last look at the city I'd lived in for years. This departure, I might never return. Everything here would cease to concern me. After an 11-hour flight, I arrived at Melbourne Airport at exactly 6 in the morning. The airport staff wheeled me to the exit, and in the bustling crowd, I spotted that familiar face. Our eyes met. Licia froze for a moment, then strode forward with her bag. I thought you were joking. I smiled faintly, feeling a bit uneasy under her gaze. Why are you here? I didn't want her to see me in such a pathetic state. I'd planned to find a place to recover first and contact her when I was better, but I hadn't expected she'd wait for me without knowing I was coming. Licia moved behind me, skilled at pushing the wheelchair out, teasing lightly. Who else but the person who knows you best in the world? How long has CEO Li been waiting? I asked casually. Flights from Haikang to Melbourne run only twice daily, morning and evening. She must have spent considerable time here. Not long, just a day, Licia said breezily, pushing me to a car parked by the curb, carefully helping the driver lift me inside. Even with their gentle movements, I still gasped in pain. Licia's expression darkened instantly, a flash of anger in her eyes. She paused, but ultimately asked nothing. Closed the door, handed the wheelchair to her assistant. The car soon reached the hospital. We tacitly avoided questions and explanations. After the doctor's checkup, I was admitted immediately and told to rest. Leaving the doctor's office, Licia's face looked grim. She carried a bag of fruit her assistant had bought, peeling an apple for me. Finally, she couldn't hold back. What happened to your injuries? We grew up together, childhood sweethearts, until high school when she moved abroad with her parents. We'd never lost contact over the years. She knew my temperament best. She'd invited me to Melbourne countless times to start anew, but I'd never agreed. She knew why. My sudden acceptance now made her both elated and uneasy. Seeing me like this, she wished she could fly back to Haikang to seek justice for me. I took a bite of the apple, swallowing with difficulty, said faintly, some old enemies came looking. She sent you to deal with them. Licia's grip on the knife tightened, her knuckles whitening. I didn't want to mention Liu Ruyan, didn't want to recall those unbearable memories. It's all in the past. I'm hungry, can you get me something to eat? Licia rolled her eyes, exasperated. Wait here. Watching her leave, the coldness in my eyes softened with warmth. Soon Licia returned, holding my favorite jiaolongbao. Try it. See how these compare to the ones back home. She carefully split a dumpling in half, forked a piece to my mouth. I swallowed it whole, nodded with satisfaction. Delicious, delicious. There's plenty more good food here. It'll take you to try them all later. After eating and chatting with Li Shi'er, I felt my strength fade. She gently helped me lie down, drew the curtains, and sat on the nearby sofa to handle work. The hospital room was quiet. I fell asleep quickly. This sleep was unusually peaceful. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan couldn't resist calling me, but both calls went unanswered. Her expression grew darker. She and Jibota had searched long, but found no trace of Lin Wenwen. Jibota buzzed around like a headless fly, trailing her, blaming himself. Liu Ruyan, already anxious, called the police and had her assistant send people to search. The assistant hesitated, reminding CEO Liu, "Have you checked the school's surveillance? Maybe it shows who took Miss Lin." Liu Ruyan froze, suddenly realizing. She rushed to the car, starting the engine, only then noticing Jibota still wandering the street. Liu Ruyan rubbed her temples, her voice colder. "Get in." The woman before him had never spoken to him this way. Jibota paused, then hurriedly climbed into the car. Because of the gala fight, Liu Ruyan's private life had become the focus of reporters' attention. Their presence here quickly drew a swarm of reporters. "CEO Liu, what's your relationship with this man? Are you as rumored Tuodiming? You said your success was all thanks to Mr. Long Aotian, but sources claim this man is your lawful husband. What's your response?" Liu Ruyan's face was ashen. She opened the car door, letting Jibota drive, and faced the reporters calmly. "Everyone's misunderstood. This man is just our driver. My husband and I are very much in love. Please don't speculate maliciously." Jibota's expression dimmed. His lips twitched, but he said nothing. The car sped off. The cabin was oppressively silent. All the way. At the school, the assistant had pulled up the surveillance. The truth was clear. The one who took Lin Wenwen was Jibota's younger brother Ji Zihao. When they found them, Ji Zihao was with Lin Wenwen, eating fried chicken at a fast food restaurant. Jibota hugged the child, fussing over her, drawing curious glances from others in the restaurant. Ji Zihao, embarrassed, tugged at his brother's sleeve, but Jibota argued with him publicly. Liu Ruyan's brows knitted tightly. My image flashed unbidden in her mind. Compared to them, a trace of disgust and helplessness crossed her eyes. She stepped out with her assistant, rubbing her temples, instructing, "In 2 days it's Sir's birthday. Prepare to book the entire Haihui cruise ship for his celebration." The assistant nodded, hesitantly asking before leaving, "CEO Liu, which Sir?" Liu Ruyan stared at him, her heart suddenly feeling empty. Recalling what happened at the villa, she was filled with guilt. "My face had looked so terrible, yet Shed lashed out at me over an unverified matter. These days, Shed indeed neglected my feelings. Go prepare." Back in the car, Liu Ruyan rubbed her temples wearily, pulled out her phone to call me, but after hesitating, she gave up, only sending a message in the chat, then instructing the servant to take good care of me. Jibota, holding Lin Wenwen, stood outside the car door at some point, full of expectation. "Ruyan, Wenwen wants to go to the amusement park. Can you come with us?" Liu Ruyan looked at her daughter, her mouth smeared with oil, sighed, "It's too late today. Let's go home first." Before she finished, Lin Wenwen broke free from Jibota's arms, throwing a tantrum on the ground, crying, "No way. I want to go now. Mommy's been taken by that bad man. She doesn't want me or daddy anymore. You're a bad mommy. I don't want you as my mommy." Liu Ruyan, already agitated, turned ashen at these words. Jibota, seeing this, pleaded, "Ruyan, the child's never been to an amusement park. Just go with her." For years, no matter what Jibota asked, Liu Ruyan would agree out of guilt and duty. But this time, looking at her spoiled daughter, and Jibota indulging her tantrum, Liu Ruyan suddenly thought of me and our unborn child. If that child were still here, I would have raised them so well. "Ruyan, just take the kid once." Liu Ruyan snapped back to reality, firmly saying, "Get in the car, Ruyan, or you can walk back yourselves." Seeing Liu Ruyan truly angry, Jibota and Ji Zihao finally dragged the crying child into the car. On the way, Lin Wenwen kept wailing. Jibota tried to soothe her, While Ji Zihao pointed fingers and cursed, muttering sarcastically about how the Ji family helped Lia's mother back then. The car was a chaotic mess. Liu Ruyan's patience finally snapped enough. When we get backpack your things and go back to your hometown. The car fell silent instantly. Ji Boda confused Ruyan. Didn't we agree Wen would study here? Wen stays. Aotian and I will take good care of her. Those words were like a spark, igniting everyone's emotions in the car. Ji Boda shook his head, face full of embarrassment. Wen is my life. I'd never let someone else raise her. Ji Zihao exploded, sister-in-law. Do you have no conscience? How much has my brother sacrificed for you? You keep another man on the side fine. Now you want him to raise your kid. What kind of child could he raise? Liu Ruyan's face darkened instantly, about to erupt. The housekeeper's call came through. Madam, sir is gone. Liu Ruyan's voice was sharp. What do you mean gone? How does a living person just disappear? The housekeeper anxious. Madam, we've searched the villa inside and out. No sign of sir. Liu Ruyan's temples throbbed. Suppressing her anger, keep looking. Hanging up. She kicked Ji Boda and his family out of the car and drove herself to my friend's house. All the way she kept calling me, but the line always said unreachable. The car sped faster, watching the streets blur by outside. Liu Ruyan's heart sank uncontrollably. A strong unease gnawed at her. She felt something important was slipping away. All these years, I'd never fought with her, never left without a word. The assistant soon found my hospital records. Liu Ruyan turned the car around, racing to the hospital. She had the staff pull up the surveillance. However, the hospital footage cut off after I left the entrance. Liu Ruyan stared hard at the lonely figure on the screen. Her heart leapt to her throat. She had the hospital try to contact the caregiver who wheeled me out, instructed the assistant to wait for news, and drove back to the villa. The villa was deathly silent. In the past, no matter how late, a lamp was always left on for me in the living room. But now it was pitch black. Liu Ruyan's breathing hitched. Her hand trembled on the doorknob. A soft click. As the door pushed open, she tentatively called my name. No response. The lights flicked on. The empty living room felt colder than ever. On the table lay the necklace Shed once won back for me, the watch Shed just given me, and the tie Lia's mother bought for her son-in-law. Liu Ruyan stood before the table, panic creeping into her heart. That necklace, I never took it off. But now with trembling hands, she picked it up. Her heart pounded wildly in her chest, like a machine out of control, teetering on the edge of breaking. She stared at the necklace in disbelief, still telling herself, this was just me throwing a tantrum, just a prank. She rushed upstairs, pushed open the bedroom door. Everything inside was untouched. The clothes in the closet, my shoes, accessories, all still there. Liu Ruyan looked at these familiar things, let out a heavy sigh of relief, slumping onto the sofa. She knew I couldn't leave her. She knew I was just upset with her. But the next second, when she glanced inadvertently at the broken picture frame in the trash, her heart sank sharply. The 2 marriage certificates I'd carefully framed, now soaked and faded by tea, utterly ruined. Liu Ruyan's heart was struck with a terrifying thought. She reached into the trash desperately, unheeding as broken glass cut her hand. She called the housekeeper. Soon the housekeeper arrived with a few servants at the door. We've been out looking for him all day. Haven't seen Sir, madam. I quit. A young servant stepped forward. Mustering courage, I have to speak my mind. Sir was so good to you. You shouldn't have treated him like that. That day it was clearly Mr. Yi's kid who smashed a bowl on Sir's head. But you didn't care about right or wrong, and spoke harshly to him. Sir was left at the gala, his fate unknown, while you and Mr. Yi's family watched cartoons together happily. Outsiders would think Mr. Ji was your husband. In my opinion, Sir's gone this time and won't come back. The servant turned and left. The housekeeper tried to apologize. Liu Ruyan waved them away. The living room fell into a long silence again. Liu Ruyan sat alone in the dark, calling and texting me over and over. The line always gave a cold, unreachable tone. the chat filled with red exclamation marks, mocking her mercilessly. She sat in the living room all night, regret and panic tearing at her. The next day at noon, the assistant called CEO Liu. The caregiver said, "Sir left yesterday morning, on a flight from Haikang to Melbourne." Hayes left Haikang. Liu Ruyan's fingers froze. Her palm clenched tightly. The unbandaged wound stung sharply. Blood dripped from her palm onto the expensive carpet. "This time I was truly leaving her." Liu Ruyan took a deep breath, her voice hoarse. "Book me the earliest flight to Melbourne." The assistant hesitated, then added, "CEO Liu, the police called. They've solved the case of Sir's assault. They need you to come down." Hearing assault Liu Ruyan, her heartbeat skipped. At the station, the police showed her a video recovered from the assailant's phone. On the screen, "I was brutally kicked to the ground by several men. They swung clubs at me, without mercy. When she saw me covered in blood, lying in the mud, life or death unknown." Liu Ruyan's breath stopped. On the screen, the assailants laughed without restraint. Off the screen, Liu Ruyan's hands clenched tightly at her sides. She hugged herself, staring at the screen, her ears filled with endless ringing, as if she stood on a cliff's edge, about to shatter into pieces. She suddenly remembered those calls. She'd hung up herself. How desperate, how helpless I must have been. But she only thought to teach me a lesson, to make me reflect. Crushing guilt made it hard to breathe. She'd sworn to stay with me forever, to protect me. The footage played back in her mind, like a heavy hammer, smashing her heart again and again. "Have you caught them?" Her voice was hoarse, barely human. The police led her to the interrogation room and opened the door. When Liu Ruyan saw the man crouching on the floor, her face darkened like a storm. "You did this!" Boda slowly stood, rushed forward, grabbing Liu Ruyan's arm, face full of panic. "Ruyan, save me! The child can't be without a father." Liu Ruyan flung his hand away, her voice cold as ice. "Who told you to do this?" "It was your mom. She gave me the idea, to teach Long Aotian a lesson." "Ruyan, I know I was wrong. You have to save me." Liu Ruyan looked at him with utter disgust. When he tried to lunge again, she shoved him back. "So this was all your setup? You deliberately kept me away, used Lin Wenwen as an excuse, made him suspect me." Boda shook his head frantically. "No, Ruyan. I just didn't want you to leave us again. I was afraid he'd take you away." Liu Ruyan's knuckles whitened, her face grim beyond measure. "So you hurt him? So you let Wenwen insult him, throw things at him? How did you become so vicious?" "Boda." Boda laughed as if he'd heard a great joke. His eyes narrowed, staring at her coldly. "Boda, Liu Ruyan, you insisted on marrying me back then. You made me marry you, then left me alone in our hometown to serve your mom, raising the kid. Well, you lived it up with another man. You think sending money makes you responsible. Do you know how Wenwen and I got by all these years? You're my lawful wife, but the villagers mocked me behind my back, called me useless, said Wenwen was a bastard. Long Aotian got what he deserved. Enough, you're beyond reason." Liu Ruyan's voice was cold as frost. "If your mom hadn't saved mine back then, do you think I'd have married you? There are 1,000 ways to repay a debt. Why did you have to marry me? Let's be honest. Didn't you just want free labor? Someone to clean up your mess?" "Liu Ruyan, all this mess today. You caused it yourself. You're the true culprit." Boda roared hysterically. "You ruined me and ruined Long Aotian." Liu Ruyan's pupils shrank. Her heart felt like it was struck by a heavy fist, the pain suffocating. After a long moment, she took a deep breath, turned and left. "Liu Ruyan, you can't abandon me. Do you want everyone to know? You have a husband who's been to prison. You're right. I shouldn't have married you." Liu Ruyan's steps paused, but she didn't look back. "The divorce papers will be sent soon. Face the consequences of your actions." The door closed, blocking out Boda's wails. The assistant approached, gravely reporting the company's in trouble because of the earlier news. Several shareholders are very upset. Some investors are pulling out. Liu Ruyan's expression didn't change. "Is the ticket booked?" The assistant nodded. "CEO Liu, The company's issues long Aotian is the priority now. The assistant said no more. Prepared the car to take Liu Ruyan to the airport. The flight to Melbourne was at 6 p.m., but as she prepared to board, the housekeeper called Madam Bad News. Your mother collapsed at the villa's gate. Liu Ruyan hesitated briefly, then rushed to the hospital with her assistant, pushing open the ward door. Lia's mother's sobs echoed out. Seeing her enter, the crying stopped abruptly. Boda tried to leave, but Lia's mother stopped him. I heard from Boda you're divorcing him. The child's so grown. You want a divorce. Have you no conscience? Was it that little beast long Aotian who egged you on? Liu Ruyan's face turned cold. Her icy gaze fell on Boda. I'm the one who wants the divorce. It has nothing to do with Aotian. Lia's mother was clearly unconvinced. I'm telling you, as long as I'm alive, you want divorce Boda. Tomorrow I'll have the assistant publish it, announcing your relationship with Boda. I'll let everyone know who's the rightful son-in-law of the Liu family. Impossible, you're out of line. This was the first time Liu Ruyan defied her mother. Lia's mother trembled with rage, pointing at her, clutching her chest, collapsing onto the bed. Are you trying to kill me? You'd abandon your own mother for that man. In the past, Liu Ruyan would rush over in panic, obeying her mother completely. But this time she didn't. She knew her mother was faking. The only son-in-law for the Liu family is Long Aotian. This divorce is final. As Liu Ruyan turned to leave, she paused at the door, looked back at Boda, and said word by word, not only will I divorce him, I'll make him pay for what he's done. What do you mean? You want to send Boda to prison? Fine, send me there too. Lia's mother sat up furious, as if she'd rush over and slap her. Liu Ruyan's face was cold. All these years, I listened to you. This time I want to live for myself. She finally understood. Her heart had always belonged to one person. She had to atone for her mistakes. Stepping out, Liu Ruyan called the lawyer to draft the divorce papers, adding this matter. I don't want anyone to know. The lawyer hesitated, then answered truthfully, CEO Liu, your fake marriage with Mr. Long. Mr. Long probably already knows. The lawyer's words hit like thunder, freezing Liu Ruyan in place. Before her eyes, the image of the trashed marriage certificate frame flashed. A storm surged in her heart. As the tide receded, only boundless panic remained. He knew everything. Outside, people came and went. Liu Ruyan stood frozen, her voice hoarse, eyes welling up. All her plans to make amends turned to ashes in that moment. Behind her, Boda's startled cry came from the ward. Liu Ruyan stiffly turned back, saw Boda rush out, face full of panic. He grabbed her arm, mouth moving, saying something, but she couldn't hear a word. Her ears kept replaying the lawyer's words. Lia's mother had a sudden heart attack, barely saved after emergency treatment. Liu Ruyan stayed by her bedside for 3 full months. The media reported this, quelling the earlier storm. After some maneuvering, Lia's company crisis was temporarily resolved. But those 3 months, Liu Ruyan was haunted by nightmares nightly. She dreamed of me leaving her in every way, no matter how she begged. It was useless. After getting the divorce certificate and settling everything, Liu Ruyan bought another ticket to Melbourne. 8 years of love she wasn't ready to let go. She felt I must still be waiting for her to coax me back. This relationship she couldn't let go no matter what. On the plane, gazing at the dark clouds outside, Liu Ruyan's emotions churned. She tried to close her eyes to rest, but my shadow filled her mind. She remembered meeting me under cherry blossoms. I walked toward her through petals. In that moment, her heart, silent for years, stirred. She remembered when I agreed to be her boyfriend, carefully placing that one back necklace in my palm, and I, full of care, pulled her into my arms, telling her never to do such foolish things again. Back then, she truly believed she could hold my hand and walk through life together. Later, as we started the business, disagreements grew. She couldn't bear to argue with, but negative emotions piled up with nowhere to go, until she re-examined the husband she was forced to marry. Every time she went home, he'd have a warm meal ready, listening quietly to her outpourings. No matter what she said, he looked at her with worshipful eyes. She sank into that long-lost sense of stability, but gradually forgot the burning heart she once had. When she held my hand and said those four words, "I like you," she knew she didn't love Djibouti, yet couldn't resist sinking into that so-called gentle haven, under the guise of repaying a debt, enjoying the comfort of a humble man. Countless times she wanted to pull away, to live well with me, but each time she found reasons to convince herself. Gradually she grew used to this life. She thought she could balance this warped relationship, thought sending Djibouti money monthly was her greatest kindness. She thought giving me all her love and dignity meant I'd never leave her. Until Djibouti in the interrogation room hysterically accused her of being the culprit. Until she learned I'd fled without a word. Only then did she realize how terribly wrong she'd been. She thought 8 years of love was unbreakable, unaware that in places she couldn't see, irreparable cracks had already formed. When the water had spilled beyond recovery, she finally woke up, realizing her heart had long been wholly given to me. All these years, it wasn't that I couldn't leave her, but that she couldn't leave me at all. She would pay a heavy price for her reckless confidence. Liu Ruyan let out a barely audible sigh, opening her eyes again. In the boundless darkness, her chest throbbed with sharp pain. How much must I hate her to leave so resolutely? While my wounds were still unhealed, I had another nightmare. In it, Liu Ruyan and Djibouti teamed up to push me off a cliff. The intense weightlessness felt like my heart was ripped out in an instant. I reached out desperately to grab something, but caught only emptiness. Before me were Liu Ruyan and Djibouti's twisted, laughing faces. I flailed my arms trying to escape them, to no avail. Suddenly, a warm hand gripped mine. A burning warmth spread from my palm, instantly soothing all my frenzy and unease. I opened my eyes. Liu was looking at me full of worrying. "Are you okay?" My scattered thoughts slowly returned. Seeing her clearly, my racing heart gradually calmed. I'm fine, not wanting her to see my weakness. I quietly turned my head aside. Liu's expression shifted slightly, her eyes filled with tenderness. She didn't know what I'd been through these past days, but seeing me like this, she hurt more than anyone. "Have some water." She didn't press me, nor force me to relive those awful memories, just silently stood guard, waiting for me to slowly emerge. They had plenty of time ahead. "Get discharged tomorrow and come to my place. My mom's been dying to see you. Worried you wouldn't like the food here. She keeps talking about cooking your favorites. I didn't want her to disturb your rest, so I thought I'd bring you over after discharge." I hesitated, avoiding her eyes. "Sure, it's been a while since I saw Auntie." Liu's lips curved. "My mom adores you. She used to complain about me, saying why didn't I win you over." I looked up, our eyes meeting. The usually carefree girl now had eyes full of sincerity. My heart skipped a beat, as if some strange seed had quietly sprouted unnoticed. "I know CEO Liu wants to keep me, to work hard for Li's company. Now that I'm here, I want leave to repay these 3 months of shelter. It'll double Li's market value in 2 years. Liu stood, playfully bowing to me. "Then we're counting on CEO Long." We laughed and bantered for a while. Watching her pack my things, my heart, that frozen wasteland long untouched, seemed to slowly thaw. I felt like I was back in childhood, when my father was still alive, and my mother was still here. Liu and I bickered daily. Whenever Liu upset me, her mother would grab her ear, making her apologize to me, and she'd always fake an apology, only to hide my workbook later, or scribble on my notebook's cover. With her terrible handwriting, "Long Aotian is a big idiot." Back then I excelled in school, so proud and clever. How could I admit I was an idiot? But now, after life's harsh lessons, I realized maybe I really was a big idiot. The airport was bustling with people. Liu Ruyan stood at the terminal entrance, gazing at the endless stream of traffic outside, suddenly feeling lost. Li's business had never reached Melbourne. This was her first time on this foreign soil. She opened her phone. Countless missed calls popped up from shareholders, from Djibouti, from Lia's mother, but she ignored them all. She took a cab straight to the hospital. Before coming, Shed had a friend confirm. I was recovering at the city center hospital. Passing a flower shop, she stopped to buy vibrant red roses. I always bought flowers for her before. This time it was her turn. As the car pulled into the hospital, Liu Ruyan stepped out holding the flowers, only to come face-to-face with me. Our eyes met. Liu Ruyan looked at my still frail form, her heart trembling violently, nearly leaping from her chest. 3 months of pent-up longing surged like a tidal wave, engulfing her in an instant. Aotian, I stared at the person before me, for a moment thinking I'd seen wrong. I never expected after 3 months to meet her again in a foreign hospital. All the pain came rushing back, like countless fine needles, piercing every inch of my body. I took a deep breath, turned away from her, and headed straight to the parking lot. Liu Ruyan chased after me, blocking my path. I'm sorry. Aotian, my hand at my side clenched slightly. After a long pause, I forced a smile. Miss, I don't know you. Please move. But Liu Ruyan gripped my hand tightly, refusing to let go. I'm sorry, Aotian. I came here to apologize. Everything before was my fault. Can you give me a chance to make it up to you? Let go. My face paled. I shook off her hand and kept walking. I didn't want to see her even for a second. Liu Ruyan turned to follow, but a figure flashed by. A sharp slap landed hard on her face. The blow carried such force, as if it could shatter her entirely. I hadn't even come for you, and you dare show up. Liu raised her hand to strike again, but I held her back. Xia, it's not worth wasting time on irrelevant people. We need to get home. Go get the car. As I spoke, I put an arm around Liu's shoulders, guiding her aside, soothing her gently. This scene stung Liu Ruyan's eyes deeply. Undeterred, she chased after us, her voice stubborn. Aotian, I know you're still angry. I can explain everything from before. Please give me a chance. Explain. What do you want to explain? Looking at her, I suddenly found it laughably absurd. Your misunderstandings back then, or your so-called innocence with Djibouti. Liu Ruyan's eyes swirled with complex emotions. Aotian, if divorced him. I glanced at the approaching car, smiling coldly. Liu Ruyan, what makes you think I'd want a divorced woman? The car sped off. Through the rearview mirror, I clearly saw Liu Ruyan collapse to her knees, picking up the crushed roses, staring dazedly in the direction we left. She stared for a long time, seeing her haggard, dim face. I thought I'd soften, but all I could think about was how to take back everything that was mine. The sky began to drizzle. The pattering rain fell on the rearview mirror, as if washing away past memories, blurring them gradually. Liu kept an eye on my mood, seeing I wasn't as upset or sad as Shed expected. Her worried heart eased slightly. Li's parents were incredibly warm, greeting me without any distance despite my changed appearance. At the dinner table, I felt like I was back in childhood. My long, gloomy face finally showed a rare smile. Aotian, stay with us from now on. Auntie will cook your favorites every day. Yeah, Aotian, stay at home. Let Auntie take good care of you. Li's father and mother chimed in, insisting I live with them. I didn't know how to refuse. But at the critical moment, Liu spoke up. Mom, Dad, I've already arranged a place for Aotian near the company, so he can make money for me. You brat, all you care about is money. Li's mother pretended to swat at Liu. I sat watching this heartwarming scene, a warm current flowing through my heart. I couldn't recall how long it had been since I'd felt the care and warmth of family. That sense of peaceful time vanished after Liu Ruyan and I started the company. Back then, I was busy with trips and dinners, she with meetings and planning. Life seemed full, but gradually, I felt like a programmed machine, repeating a monotonous routine day after day. Later, unknowingly, my thoughts drifted back to 3 months ago. The pain etched deep in my heart slowly seeped out again, as I was trapped in that emotional mire, unable to pull free. A warm hand suddenly grasped mine. Mom, Dad, I'm taking Aotian to see his new place. Don't wait for us for dinner. I let her pull me out the door. Outside, a gentle breeze sang. The sky clear and bright. Sunlight warmed my skin, lifting my mood instantly, as if after walking alone in a dark tunnel for ages. A crack of light had suddenly appeared ahead. The car soon stopped at the new apartment building. Liu led me upstairs. The moment she opened the door, I froze staring at the sight before me. The room's decor and layout were exactly as I described my dream home. In my youth, I stood at the threshold afraid to step inside, fearing such beauty was just an illusion. You did all this. Liu pulled me in, handing me a pair of blue slippers from the shoe cabinet with practiced ease. I promised you, at 16 or 17 full of dreams, I'd said so many things casually, even I'd forgotten them. Yet all these years, someone had remembered for me. My eyes grew warm, a surge of warmth rising in my heart. Thank you, Xia. Settled and I threw myself into work. My injuries no longer a hindrance. It was time to reclaim what was mine. Liu brought me into the company, holding an executive meeting to announce my role as general manager. I hadn't expected her to entrust me with such responsibility, but since it was declared, I had no reason to back down. For 3 straight days, I lived at the company, leaving early, returning late. If Liu had dragged me away, I might have made the office my home. In those 3 days, much happened in Haikang. Lia's mother spread rumors everywhere, calling me shameless, a home wrecker, a polished facade hiding a gigolo. I struck back, leaking evidence of Liu Ruyan's toteming to the already blazing fire of public opinion. Haikang's major media headlines swiftly shifted their focus. At the eye of the storm, Liu Ruyan stood outside List Group building, gazing up at the towering structure, clutching her creased divorce certificate. When her assistant called, she was being escorted out by security. She took a deep breath, walking aside to answer wearily, "What is it?" "CEO Liu, someone exposed your toteming. The backlash is fierce. Partners are terminating contracts. Investors pulled out overnight. The company's in chaos. The board's looking for you, demanding answers." PRS issued several statements, but it feels like an invisible hand is steering this. The heat won't die down. CEO Liu, come back. We need to find who's behind this. To respond properly, hanging up. Liu Ruyan looked up at the building again, smiling bitterly. She already guessed who the mastermind was. 3 more days passed. Liu Ruyan stayed outside List building, never leaving. Security wouldn't let her in, so she waited quietly at the entrance. Her eyes bloodshot, her once pristine suit, soaked by rain, dried and wrinkled by the wind. She didn't care. In her hand, she clutched tightly her divorce certificate with G-Boater. She wanted to show it to me the moment she saw me, to explain, to beg forgiveness. As dusk fell, the after-work crowd thinned. A guard approached reluctantly, advising Miss, "Go home. Without an appointment, you won't see CEO long." Liu Ruyan's lips curved faintly, about to speak, but 3 days and nights without food or drink had pushed her body to its limit. The next second, her vision darkened, and she collapsed softly. Waking again, she was in a hospital. A stranger saw her stir, standing to say, "Miss Liu, I'm CEO Long's assistant. CEO Long says he has nothing more to say to you. Please respect yourself and stop disturbing his life." Also, CEO Long said, "He's only taking back what's rightfully his." The man nodded slightly and left. Liu Ruyan stared at his retreating back, closing her eyes in pain. Before her flickering was me holding her hand, eyes full of love, saying, "Ruyan, you can only belong to me from now on, and it'll only belong to you." At that thought, she pulled a ring from her pocket, stroking it gently, her eyes filling with obsessive madness. "Aotian, you said you'd only belong to me." Scandals about Liu Ruyan dominated Haikang's front pages, wave after wave of heat, nailing Liu Ruyan and Lias Group to the pillar of shame. Lias Group had prepared extensively for financing and listing, but now major clients were bailing. Suppliers fled or stalled, turning the on-Semite Lias into an empty shell overnight. The mess went uncleaned, everyone searching for Liu Ruyan, but Shed vanished without a trace. Lia's mother was hospitalized multiple times from stress, the last time receiving a critical condition notice. Boda accompanying her. Upon hearing Lias was collapsing, took his daughter and Lia's mother's savings, fleeing quietly. When Lia's mother woke to this news, she died of a heart attack that night. The hospital tried for days, but couldn't reach any family to handle her affairs. The Liu family fell apart entirely, a complete mess. On the top floor of Li's group, I stood by the railing, gazing at the distant moonlit city. My phone played recent reports about Lias. The evening breeze was gentle, pleasantly cool, but hearing Lias had stalled, I felt no expected satisfaction. Liu Ruyan's missing. Lias is crumbling. Why don't you seem happy? Licia stepped beside me, picking up my phone and pausing the news. I looked at the city's towering buildings below, my voice flat. I thought I'd be thrilled, exhilarated, but it was Liu Ruyan. Who faked a diagnosis to deceive me? Who caused our child's death? Who nearly got me killed under those clubs? I'm only taking back what's mine. So why does my heart feel so heavy, so stifled? It's like being trapped in a bottomless abyss, unable to breathe, utterly miserable. Licia sat across from me, her eyes gentle looking at me. That just proves Aotian is a kind person. Kind. Hearing that word, a faint bitter smile crossed my face. All these years building the business, propping up Lias for Liu Ruyan, I forgot how to write the word kind long ago. That word is too far from me, too far. Licia watched me quietly, her dark eyes brimming with sincerity. In my eyes, you'll always be that kind, upright boy who fought for me, who helped classmates. I lowered my gaze, meeting hers, something shifting subtly within me. Thanks for the praise, weird auntie. Licia's lips curved. She stuck out her tongue playfully. This auntie's taking you somewhere. Dare to come. I raised an eyebrow. What's there to fear? Licia nodded with a smile, taking a men's watch, matching the one on her wrist, and pressed it into my hand. A reward for the brave. I opened my palm. It was a minimalist watch. I remembered the first time we went to a big city mall. Licia stood by a display case for ages, vowing to own it when she grew up. She turned and asked if I wanted anything. I casually mentioned a watch. I'd nearly forgotten it myself, but she remembered. Licia, wait. Put it on for me. I followed Licia downstairs to get the car. As I reached to open the door, a hand suddenly grabbed my wrist. Looking up to see who it was, my face darkened. Ms. Liu, please step aside. Liu Ruyan didn't move, just stared at me stubbornly. Aotian, I need to talk to you. Before I could respond, a sharp pain hit the back of my neck, and I sank into endless darkness. When I woke again, I was in a pavilion on a mountainside. The mountain air carried a biting chill. I sat up instinctively, warily scanning my surroundings, looking at the trees and grass around me. It felt strangely familiar. You're awake. Liu Ruyan's voice came from behind. I turned to her, guarded. Liu Ruyan, what are you trying to do? Liu Ruyan wore an old outfit unusually, and seeing those clothes, blur of memories began to sharpen. In my junior year, I went hiking with friends, but bad weather struck, and I got separated from them. I wandered the mountain for hours, unable to find a way out. My phone had no signal. My bag had no food. As night fell, it started pouring. The mountain paths grew slick, and I slipped down a slope, injuring my leg. I lay on the ground, unable to stand despite my efforts. The rain poured harder, washing mud over me, burying me. Just when I was alone and helpless, thinking death was certain, Liu Ruyan appeared. That was one of the darkest moments of my life, and Liu Ruyan was like a beam of light, tearing through the night, leading me to dawn. That heart-pounding moment was so intense that when I heard Shed already married someone else, the pain was unbearable. I couldn't believe the woman who once said she loved me enough to die for me would one day betray me. The woman who pulled me from the abyss would push me into an even deeper one. Liu Ruyan stepped toward me, her gaze filled with longing and a trace of nervousness. She pulled the divorce certificate from her pocket. Aotian, If divorced him, we have no ties anymore. Let's start over. Give me a chance to make it up to you, please. I looked at the faded certificate and gave a bitter smile. Liu Ruyan can spilled water be gathered back. Divorcing G. Boater doesn't erase the fact you lied to me for 8 years. Liu Ruyan knelt before me, trying to take my hand. It can. Aotian, if we forget the past. If I yanked my hand away. My voice icy, forget how. What you took from me, how do you repay? Liu Ruyan pleaded softly, I can repay. If you want Lias, I'll give it all to you. If you want a big house, I'll buy it for you. I know I was wrong, Aotian. I'll make it up to you, I swear. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Please don't leave me. I laughed through my tears sliding from the corners of my eyes. Then the child I lost, how do you repay that? I stared into her eyes, enunciating each word. The child you killed with your own hands. How do you repay that? Liu Ruyan stumbled back, her face pale as paper. I heard everything. I wiped the tears from my eyes, stepping to the edge of the pavilion, gazing at the rolling mountains, my tone calm with a hint of release. You said you had to repay the G family's kindness. You said being with G Boda felt stable. You said the Liu family could only have Lin Wen as its child. That's not true. Liu Ruyan froze, her lips trembling, her eyes filled with pain and despair. Back then, how I wished it wasn't true. I curled my lips, my expression cold. Too bad, CEO Liu, you went too far. You made your choice from the start, and I was never your priority. Liu Ruyan admitted, you don't love me as much as you think. You're just unwilling to let go. People must pay for their choices. I only hope our tragedy never repeats. I said it all in one breath. Turning to head down the mountain, Liu Ruyan chased after me, hugging me tightly from behind. It's not like that. Aotian, I love you. I really love you. I broke free forcefully, looking at her with only disgust in my eyes. Liu Ruyan, wake up. There's no chance for us anymore. I paused, then continued, people must move forward. Liu Ruyan, I've started my new life. You should live yours too. New life? Liu Ruyan's lips twisted into a cold smile. You mean your new life with Li Shi'er? I didn't answer, instead asking, do you know what my birthday wish was this year? For the past 8 years, Liu Ruyan never missed a single birthday of mine, except this year. Only this year. Liu Ruyan looked up at me confused. In her ears, she seemed to hear again every wish I'd made over those 8 years. Aotian, I met her gaze, saying clearly, I wished that you and I would never meet again in this life. A gust of wind roared through. Something shattered on the ground. I finished speaking and walked down the mountain without looking back. Aotian, Liu Ruyan's eyes reddened, watching my resolute figure fade into the dense forest. Finally, unable to hold on, she collapsed to her knees. Her lips trembled, silently mouthing 3 words, I'm sorry. At the pavilion, I'd glanced at the mountain paths, but after walking for ages, I was still lost. This was Haiking's outskirts, an undeveloped mountain. It was meant to be a scenic spot, but investors pulled out, leaving it incomplete. Many paths remained unpaved. The sun was setting. I looked at the crisscrossing trails, quickening my pace. If I didn't get out before dark, it'd be trouble. I gripped the watch tightly, following my instincts in one direction. I told Liu Ruyan that people must pay for their choices. I was no different. I chose her without hesitation back then, so now I must bear the consequences. The sky grew darker. The wind rustled the leaves. Walking quickly, I tripped over a protruding root, tumbling down a steep slope. The indistinct bird calls sounded eerie in the night. I lay in the grass, my body feeling like it had fallen apart. My chest heaved. Darkness surged like a tide. I suddenly felt like I was back years ago, when my father passed, and my mother fell ill and died. A perfectly good family shattered in an instant. My heart was dead. I came hiking with friends to clear my mind, and fell down a slope waiting for rescue. My world was dark then. I even thought of ending it all. Now facing the same ordeal, falling in the same place. My mindset was worlds apart. I wanted to live well. I thought if I died, how sad Shia would be. It was my problem. Why should she live forever? In guilt and self-blame, I gripped the watch tightly, struggling to stand. Following the faint moonlight stumbling down the mountain, I kept pinching my palm, forcing my scattered thoughts to focus. Something seemed to fly overhead, flashing lights like falling stars in the night. Gradually, several helicopters circled above, searchlights slicing through the darkness, tearing the night apart again, dispelling the confusion in my heart. Ignoring the sharp pain in my right leg, I followed the helicopter's guiding lights. Soon, a familiar voice came through a loudspeaker. Long Aotian, where are you? Licia was on a clearing halfway down, several SUVs flashing bright lights. Licia had just stepped off a helicopter, about to drive into the mountain to search. The moment our eyes met, time seemed to freeze. Licia walked toward me step by step, her eyes red, pulling me tightly into her arms. Long Aotian, I almost lost you again. My leg injury flared up, landing me in the hospital for 3 months. Licia searching for me got into a car accident, suffering a mild concussion and ordered to stay for observation. Those 3 months, Licia, as my virus, stayed in my hospital room, eventually having her bed moved next to mine. During that time, the police called saying Liu Ruyan was missing, but they'd work to solve the case and bring her to justice. Hanging up, I looked out the window, my mind replaying the past. At 20, I met Liu Ruyan. At 22, she reached out, pulling me from helpless darkness. On the way down the mountain, holding her hand in the sunrise, I felt I'd collided with happiness. At 24, at our new apartment's table, I made a wish over her carefully prepared birthday cake. I hope Liu Ruyan and I grow happier every day. At 26, we became Haikang's rising business stars. Lias Group on track. My wishes coming true one by one. I thought we'd have many more 6-year stretches. A decade at 28. I faced betrayal. I didn't get a decade with Liu Ruyan, nor a lifetime together. Only the news she'd long been another's wife, and the horror that she'd killed our child. Recalling that day now, my heart still ached faintly, but I knew my life had to go on. My future held endless possibilities. I couldn't let a bad relationship defeat me entirely. On discharge day, Li's mother came to take us back to their home, preparing a lavish table of food. Mostly my favorites. Aotian, you've suffered so much. You've lost weight these days. Eat more. Thank you, Auntie. I hadn't expected Li's parents to travel so far to Haikang just to bring Licia and me home. The day we left Haikang, I stood at the airport entrance, looking back at the familiar city, my eyes devoid of joy or sorrow. When I left before, I thought I'd never return. But then Licia stepped forward, taking my hand. If you ever want to come back, I'll come with you. I looked down at her, smiling and nodding okay. Only then did I understand. True letting go isn't about resisting or forgetting, but calmly accepting. A month after returning to Melbourne one evening, Licia solemnly invited me to fulfill an old promise. The car cruised smoothly on the wide road, my eyes blindfolded the whole way. No matter how I pressed, Licia only smiled, saying nothing. 20 minutes later, she helped me out of the car, removing the silk scarf from my eyes. Before me was pitch darkness. Nothing visible. Licia, you're not really selling me off, are you? Licia stood behind me, smiling gently. Long Aotian, the promises I made but never kept, I'm fulfilling them for you now. As her words fell, the entire amusement park's lights blazed on. Behind me was the carousel I dreamed of as a child, and a roller coaster soaring into the sky. Before I could recover from the shock, in the shifting lights, the woman before me knelt on one knee, holding out a ring. Long Aotian, will you marry me? So many words wanted to spill out, but they all condensed into this one line. I stood frozen, my gaze tracing her hand, her slightly trembling shoulders, finally landing on her tear-filled eyes. I suddenly realized the annoying little girl who always trailed me had unnoticed grown into a poised young woman, now proposing to me with a ring. I lowered my eyes, smiling, momentarily unsure how to respond. Let's ride the roller coaster first. I remember you said you were scared to ride alone. This time I'm with you. I took her hand, going through every ride she'd feared before, playing them all with her. The last was the haunted ship. As we were about to leave, I held Lixia's hand again, saying softly proposing should be a man's job. On the way back, I drove, occasionally glancing at the trees flashing by outside, feeling an unprecedented clarity in my heart. The wedding was set for April. Before that, I bought a villa near Li's home, based on Lixia's tastes, accompanied her to pick a wedding dress, and chose the venue. The wedding was held at a Haikeng estate. When Lixia walked out holding her gown from the flowerland path, everyone gasped. I stood under the floral arch, watching her approach gracefully, my eyes full of tenderness. Lixia looked at the man before her, her eyes misty. No one knew how long she had waited for this moment, or how deeply she loved me. We exchanged rings before everyone, kissed where the sky met the sea, embracing tightly amid joy and cheers. It was Melbourne's autumn, clear skies, pleasant weather. After the wedding, I cancelled all engagements, taking Lixia on a coastal road trip. The breeze tousled her long hair, passing a small garden. The lush flowers stood out vividly. The radio played Lixia's favorite songs. With the person I loved beside me, the life I'd longed for was finally realized today. My phone rang nearby. I picked it up. This is Liu Ruyan's lawyer, Mr. Long. Before her passing, Ms. Liu transferred the Binhai Road Villa and Rongchang Road property to your name. If you have time, please return to Haikeng for the transfer procedures. Hearing passing, my heart jolted. A month ago, the police found a body at the mountain's base. To decompose to identify. DNA testing confirmed it was Liu Ruyan. Her last call before jumping was to her lawyer, transferring her remaining properties to me. Since I changed my number, it took the lawyer days to reach me. Mr. Long, are you listening? I snapped back, saying flatly, donate them for me. Mr. Long, are you sure? I'm sure. Hanging up, I looked ahead, feeling as if a lifetime had passed. Lixia took my hand, asking softly, what's wrong? I shook my head, nothing, just wondering what to eat for dinner. I gazed at butterflies flitting by outside, taking deep breaths. I thought the long winter would eventually pass. Those unbearable memories would fade into a yellowed photo. In an old album, every step forward would be filled with birdsong and flowers, bright sunshine, and Lixia tinkering in the kitchen for hours. 2 hours later, she mysteriously brought out a small steamer, placing freshly made buns before me. Try them, see if they taste like home. I smiled, taking a bite of a bun, and there was the young lady who couldn't tell soy sauce from vinegar or salt from sugar, spending 2 whole hours making sweet and her buns.